The Effects of Peer Pressure and Bullying, written by Martine E, narrated by Erickson. This is a story about peer pressure and bullying and eventually joining gangs. Growing up was difficult for me where bullying and peer pressure were concerned. I grew up surrounded by gang members, and most of them were actually family members that were my immediate influence. Unfortunately, these are the same family members and friends that I wanted to be like. They were, in essence, the only role models that I ever had. At the age of 7, I remember my uncle being there one moment, and the next he was gone. He had been shot and killed by the police as a result of his lifestyle in the gang. After this, I later discovered my father took us away from the city so that we would no longer be exposed to these things. He was trying to do the right thing by removing us from the gangs and the crime in our neighborhood, but it also took me away from my mother and him. I like to refer to this as a car wreck, because it was like our lives had been dismantled and in a bunch of wreckage scattered all over the place. When you are that young and cannot understand why things are happening, it leaves a lot of misconception for a child to have to decipher. After my father removed me from the initial environment that we were exposed to, we lived with my aunt, who was very bitter and depressed. Her husband had left her and took their only son with him. Living with her was supposed to be better for us, but it turned out that she had a lot of anger issues that caused her to take her defects out on others around her. The first time that she put her hands on me, I remember her reaching across the back seat of the car and smacking me across the mouth. I sat there crying as blood ran down my lip, and I remember her words to this very day. "I got you good, didn't I?" She was grinning and actually proud of the fact that she made me bleed. I was very confused by this. From that moment on, I did not trust this woman, and I did not want to be around her anymore. Everything changed that day with my aunt when she hit me. I started to feel very helpless around her. I started to feel abandoned and lonely because I had been taken from the only family that I had ever known, placed with someone that was supposed to love me and protect me, but didn't. It took me 5 years to finally be able to go back and live with my mother. When I did, things were not the same, and I was getting much older. By the age of 14, I started to go outside of the house to seek acceptance and belonging. I just did not feel these things at home like a 14-year-old boy should. It would be the beginning of my becoming involved in the gang itself. The biggest misconception about being in a gang is that they treat you like family and will love you, respect you, and have your back at all costs. This is a lie. No family that truly loves you will ever impose on you the use of violence and manipulation to get you to do what they want you to do. That is exactly what fellow gang members do to new recruits. If you are willing to let them treat you this way, then they are that much more inclined to pursue you and welcome you with open arms. Have you ever heard the term, misery loves company? That is what a gang consists of, broken and hurt people that do the same to others. It is a cycle that goes unchanged until you are ready to face whatever it is that has been hurting you from your own past. I was eventually able to confront my past as an adult, and that is how I am able to share my story with you here today. I adopted a lot of things that were harmful from my parents, and that is not to say that they were solely responsible for the poor choices that I made later on in my life, but it played a vital role in my going outside of the home looking for validation when I should have been getting this from my parents. It then took me into the abyss of gangs and peer pressure that caused me to follow a path and a lifestyle where mistakes were inevitable. Eventually, I landed here in prison. My message here today is don't give in to peer pressure, recognize bullying when it occurs, and don't bully others. Last but not least, don't ever think that a gang is welcoming you with open arms to love you and protect you and keep you from harm. It is all a lie. Thank you. Okay.